mother started teaching me the basics when I was a child. I believe everyone should know how to prepare milk for themselves. Now I find cooking quite interesting and I love it.
That's a good start. You showed a personal connection to it, which is great. To improve, you could add a bit more detail or a specific example. For instance, you might say when you first made a dish or what kind of recipes you enjoy now. So a sample answer could be, yes, my mother started teaching me basic cooking skills when I was around 8 years old. I remember making myself scrambled eggs for the first time, and since then, I've really enjoyed trying new recipes. Now I often cook pasta dishes and stir fries, which I find really fun and satisfying. Of course, here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to ride a bike when you were a child?
Yes, I had my first crack at cycling when I was 6. My father taught me in the park. In the beginning, it could be quite challenging, but my father gave me step-by-step instructions, so I eventually got the hang of it.
That's a solid answer. You gave a nice personal story, which is good. To make it even more fluent, you could add a bit more about how you felt or what it meant to you. A sample improved answer might be, yes, I learned about a bike when I was about 6. My father taught me in a park near our home. At first, I was a bit scared and it took a few tries, but with his step by step guidance, I gradually got the hang of it. After that, I felt so proud and free riding around.
Can you give me Ben's style?
Absolutely. I'll keep the tone a bit more natural and simple, like a casual, everyday conversation. So, for a band 7 style, I might say, yes, I learned to ride a bike when I was about 6 years old. My dad helped me in a local park. At first, I was nervous, but he gave me really clear instructions, and after a few attempts, I could do it. Now, biking is one of my favorite ways. Sure. So your answer was clear and you included a personal example, which is great. You had some good vocabulary like challenging and step by step instructions. However, there were a couple of small grammatical slips like I have to instead of I had to, and your answer could have been a bit more elaborated in emotion and reflection. I'd estimate your band score around a 6. With a bit more fluency, accuracy, and detail, you could push it to a 7. Of course, here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to speak a foreign language when you were at school?
Yes, English was irreplaceable subject from a very young age. I attend classes twice a week, although it was challenging at times. I am glad I stuck with it as it has opened up so many opportunities for me.
That was a good answer. You clearly explained when you started learning and gave a reason why it mattered to you. For improvement, you could add a bit more detail, like specific skills you gained or a memorable moment. A band 7 answer might be, yes, English was a compulsory subject from a young age. I had classes twice a week, and even though it was sometimes tough, I'm really grateful I stuck with it. Today, my English skills have helped me travel, study abroad, and even advance in my career. Of course, let's keep going. Here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to sing or dance?
Unfortunately, I haven't learned to sing or dance yet. I had the first crack at singing the songs, but I realized I didn't have a knack for it.
That's honest, and it's perfectly fine not to have pursued it. You were clear, but to push it to a band 6 or 7, you could add a bit more reflection or a future aspiration. For example, unfortunately, I never learned to sing or dance properly. I did try singing a few times when I was younger, but I realized it wasn't really my strength. Still, I admire those skills, and I might take a dance class one day just for fun. Sure. Here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to play any sport when you were young?
Yes, I learned to play table tennis when I was a child. At summer vacations, my mother taught me to the classes, where the teacher taught me too. He gave me a lot of knowledge and I love it a lot.
That's a nice attempt. You shared a personal experience, which is great. To improve, focus on smoother grammar and more detail. For example, yes, I did learn to play table tennis when I was a child. During the summer holidays, my mother took me to classes, and the coach taught me various techniques. I really enjoyed it, and it gave me a sense of confidence and achievement. Of course, here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to knit, sew, or do any handicrafts?
I remember learning the basics of sewing make a small pillowcase, which require a lot of attention to intricate details. While I enjoy the process, I have already picked up the needle and thread since then.
That's a good start. You gave a clear example, which is great. To raise your score, you could add a bit more detail or emotion. For example, I remember learning the basics of sewing when I was a child. I made a small pillowcase, and it really required a lot of focus on every stitch. Although it took time, I felt so proud finishing it. And since then, I've sewn a few small items here and there. Sure, here's the next question. Did you learn how to use a computer or smartphone when you were a child?
To be honest, I didn't learn to use a computer when I was a child. I got to grip with it by playing games on pokies and chatting with my friends on free times.
That's a good, honest answer. You were clear, but to aim for a band 6 or 7, try adding a bit more structure or explanation. For example, to be honest, I didn't learn to use a computer until I was a bit older. As a child, I mostly interacted with it by playing simple games on websites like Pokemon or chatting with my friends during free time. Later, I started using it more for school or research. All right, here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to play chess or any board games?
Thus, my grandfather taught me to play chess when I was 10. He gave me a lot of step-by-step instructions and game strategies. I play with him, but I want to a day can't to beat him.
That's a nice story, and you gave some good.
I'm not sure if I can help on this particular topic. Sometimes it's helpful to talk through this kind of thing with real people. The services below could help.
No problem. Let's move on. Here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to drive a car?
Certainly, I enrolled in driving school right after I turned in 18 because it is some vital life skills. In the beginning, driving car can be quite challenging, but my teacher gave me a lot of step-by-step instructions and I processed effectively.
That's a solid effort. You explained when and why you learned, and you touched on the challenges. To reach a band 7, you could add a bit more fluency or personal reflection. Certainly, I began learning to drive after I finished school, once I turned 18, because I knew it was an essential life skill. At first, it was a bit overwhelming, but my instructor gave me clear guidance, and step by step, I built my confidence. Now I feel comfortable driving every day. Of course, here's the next question. Did you ever learn how to cook?
Thus, my mother started teaching me the basics when I was a kid. If she believes everyone should know how to prepare meals for themselves. Now I find cooking quite interesting and I love it. I cook every day.
That's a good response. You gave a personal reason and showed ongoing interest. To get closer to a band 7, you could add a bit more variety in vocabulary or a specific example. Yes, my mother started teaching me the basics when I was a child because she believes everyone should be able to cook for themselves. Over the years, I grew really passionate about it, and now I enjoy experimenting with different recipes every day. Sure. Here's the next question. Did you learn how to speak a foreign language when you were at school?
Yes, English was an irreplaceable subject from a very young age. I attended classes twice a week. Although it can be quite challenging at first, I realized I stuck with it as it had opened up so many opportunities for me.
That's a clear answer, and you communicated the main points well. To refine it for a band 7, you could add a bit more detail or personal reflection. For example, yes, English was a compulsory subject from a very young age. I attended classes twice a week, and although it was challenging at first, I'm really glad I persevered. It's opened up so many doors for me, from travel to career opportunities, and I use it every day.